Oh, that's
Okay,
right.
we are recording
Okay.
and we're about to start letting people in. So it's 9:47, so go ahead and let them in. And I'll just get started in like 3 minutes, no matter how many people are here, because we need to get started, you know. I just want to be sure that we're done on time, just to respect everybody
Right.
that's here.
Yes, this one's going over a little bit.
Yes.
Still, they're still live. So,
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Hi, Margarita.
Good morning.
good morning. We'll go ahead and get started in just a few minutes. We want to make it, we know that the other, we're still watching the other one, so it went a little bit late. And so we're in the process of admitting people right now.
And we're still going to do our best to be done at 10:15 for that much needed break. I know we've been all sitting and getting for a while now. So we're going to try to be as quick as possible to give you the most useful information that we can.
Well, I have 23 people in the waiting room.
I just let in a bunch.
Okay.
Did you turn your head?
No, I'm trying to click as fast as I can. I'm not a fast clicker. I didn't play video games, so. Oh, I almost
Hello,
put you in.
everyone.
Oops,
I've done that before. Just reverse it.
I accidentally made somebody mute.
I know. I've accidentally made kids co-hosts too on accident when I'm trying to either admit or something. We're going to give a minute here to get people admitted. I know that the earlier morning stuff just went a tiny bit over. We're going to get started and do our best to be done at 10:15 because we need that break. Welcome, everyone. Take a stretch break, stand up, do some jumping jacks if you need to, walk around, get a cup of coffee.
Will do.
Oh, it's so nice to see all these people. I'm clicking on admitting people, and it's so nice to see so many of these faces.
Yes, familiar faces. Hi, everyone.
Yes. Good morning.
Yep, we're piling in now. Good to see everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday, almost to the break and the planning point. Hi, Heather. Hi, Lisa.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. We're in the process of admitting everyone. We know that the last session ran a little bit over, and we're going to hold to the time schedule so that you're out of here at 10:15, so that you still have the break that you're going to so desperately need at 10:15. And so we want to respect you there. So I'll just talk a little faster. We'll just talk a little faster when it gets to.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. And while everyone's finishing piling in here, just take a breather, stretch a little bit, figure out which dog you most feel like. Take a moment to do.
Oh, I have a poll for that.
Yeah, I'll put it up.
Okay.
So there's a poll up for you to look at those dog faces, read the emotion, read the feeling.
The poll doesn't match.
Oh, sorry, wrong poll. Thank you.
Their dog's neck colors, huh?
Here we go. Now the poll matches. Look at those dogs, read their emotions, and figure out which one you most feel like today. I think if I could do it, I'd be a 5.
I'm lost.
Can you see the
Wait,
dogs on?
No, I said, which dog is that one?
The lost one.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Lost. Yeah, the 5 you can barely tell, but he's like got one lip up a little bit. That one kind of looks like lost, like, huh?
6 is a little tired.
Thank you.
And we totally understand. And we had, you know, a directive. We were told what was going to be covered in this session. And I can put it like in a nutshell. Too much is what it was. And as teachers, Deb and Frankie and I and Vince looked through what we were expected to teach, and we narrowed it down to the most important stuff. And that's what we're going to try to hit you with today in preparation for your planning time that you're going to have after this. And so
I think, Peg, I think that we have most people here, and I will continue to enter people as you're talking.
Okay.
As we get started. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and, so for those of you that just came in, we have the poll up there for you to choose a dog that represents your feelings and type your answer in the chat. So we have the poll for that. And so you can put it into the poll. My name is Frankie Valencia, and I'm a secondary instructional science coach. As we came together today, we worked with, as Peggy was saying, we worked as a team to come up with a plan for the professional development for today, but we decided to split off into 2 groups. This group here is the middle school science and PLTW, and the other group that Deb is leading is the high school group. And the reason that we did that, high school has a little bit different agenda than we do, because not only are they covering NGSS, they're also covering AP and honors courses. So we split off, and as we do this today, is there talk in the background? I'm going to try to watch the chat as we're doing this, but and go to the chat as much as I can. But our purpose today is to get through the information. We have less than 30 minutes because the other session ran over, and we want to respect all of you and make sure that you are out of here by 10:15 so that we don't take your break away from you. So here are the results of the poll. Let's see.
Dog number 3. And I think that one says, come on, just get on with the show.
Okay. So that's what we're going to do.
Yep, exactly. So stop sharing. Here we go. So we totally understand the absolute overwhelming amount of concerns, wonderings how this is going to work. So many unknowns for the next week or 2 weeks or 2 months. But we decided, as we looked at all of the outcomes that we're tasked with covering today, we wanted to figure out which one was going to help the most. So we decided that we were going to focus on planning, supports for planning, examples of planning for remote learning and hybrid learning, and resources, including the models and instructional strategies. So the course that we all signed up for has this pre-work. I looked at it last night. I did not look at it completely last night. There's a lot. We totally understand that. However, these 5 instructional models that work with hybrid are are valuable. These are best practice for remote learning. So when you get a chance, definitely do click through. And that's what it is. There's a lot of links for examples and things that might work in your scenario, things that might not work. So you can just stop and go on to the next one. But don't neglect doing that to help you build your repertoire of skills for hybrid and remote learning. Also remember, back in December, this notebook was shared, and there are hot links in it to go to every section. And this slide deck itself is in the Canvas course, so you can access it there. If you can't find the email or you didn't have this saved, but it outlines the priorities, priority standards, and the common assessments, which if you say priority standards, to me, I think we all kind of agree that common assessment is the first priority in any learning sequence, but that is available for you to go through. And if you have trouble finding it, let any one of us know. And as we were doing this planning over the past week or so, Deb Perryman made a comment that I thought was worthy of being a quote, like, with all the ridiculous expectations us teachers have on us right now, it boils down to the fact that we are facilitators of providing evidence. We've got to get evidence from the kids in order to be able to give them a grade, in order to be able to let them reach mastery so they're learning something. So we have to limit what we collect. Otherwise, it's way too overwhelming. So what is the best bang for the buck as far as planning and evidence? And if we identify the most valuable evidence and focus on that, and if that's good, if that's done, if you have evidence, everything else that you can pull in that you know already that's in your skill set is gravy. So if you don't start planning, knowing the evidence that you want in the end, then every day becomes emergency planning. And that's worthy of tears, if you ask me. No teacher wants to feel like they don't know what they're doing. And when you don't know what you're doing the next week, you feel like you don't know what you're doing. So if we start with this core of evidence that we want to collect, it should help the rest of the semester, the rest of the unit, the rest of the week go better. So on that vein, look over these self-assessment rubric. Read through them and figure out which color, which one, where you're at right now, like which one probably most identifies with your teaching style. All right, so thinking about yourself and your teaching a little bit, we're gonna move forward. Now, something I forgot to mention a couple slides ago, the chat is open for right now questions that go directly to Frankie. Frankie's the main host. I don't even see them. Those are questions for right now, like things that have to do directly with this exact presentation or this exact slide. If you have one of those questions, go ahead and send them to Frankie. If you have other questions, we have an exit slip, so jot them down. And at the end, we're going to make available an exit slip that will go to the team. So Deb will be able to see the comments and questions, Frankie and I, and we can directly answer anything that comes up in those exit slip questions. So please save questions for the exit slip. And right now questions can go in the chat and they'll go directly to Frankie. So if she's in the middle of talking, she won't see it until she's done. Just so you know about that.
And because we want to be done in 14 minutes so that you can have your break, there might not be as much time for me to respond to questions. So any questions that you put in the chat, I will save the chat and then we will get back to you on those questions. There is one thing that I do want to address that I did see in the chat. And I want to make it clear that in our presentation today, SBLA, we are trying to explain how to better fit things into your curriculum so that we are not doing all of the extra things, and we can narrow down what we are teaching and still cover the standards that we need to cover. And to go through this process, for the last couple weeks, I've been working on a unit myself. So I started my unit and I used the evidence statements and the matrix and all of the important things from NGSS in order to get a good idea of what I need to teach in my unit. The one that I chose was MSPS 1-4, which is basically phases of matter. So once I have done that, the next step is going to be to create an outline for a single point planning tool, a single point rubric, basically using the evidence statements for the standard. That was really an important tool in going through this process myself. So I started with planning the unit, creating lessons, and then taking those lessons and putting in the 5 different models that we learned about in December. So I'm going to take you through that process. So the first step, as I said, is going to be create your single point rubric, your outline, and I'll show you an example of that in a little bit. The next thing is to select a phenomenon for a unit. You could have an overarching phenomenon. You could have individual phenomenons for all of your lessons. But this is pandemic. This is different. And we want you to start with what you have too, and take what you have. As I did this, I created all new lessons for the unit because I wanted to make them best practices, starting out with a phenomenon and really focusing on the 3 dimensions. They're not lessons that I have used in the past. So it took me a lot longer to do this, but you guys have a lot going on, and that's not going to, you're going to start with the unit that you've used previously, and we'll show you an example of that as well. So then you're going to develop the summative and rubric. That's really an important thing, to develop the summative and the rubric first so that you know what it is that you are teaching. You need to know what you want, what evidence you want to collect. It all boils down to the evidence that you want to collect from the students. So you need to know the evidence that you want to collect from the students, and you're going to develop your summative, and you are going to develop your rubric. Once you have the summative and the rubric developed, then you can start to create learning experiences that go along with it. If the standard is for a common assessment, that's already done for you. You're going to use the summative that is your common assessment, as well as the rubric that was created for the summative assessment. So that makes it a little bit easier there. Then we have, you're going to add your formatives to the single point rubric, and you're going to build your unit schedule, potentially using the models. We found that it is so much easier to put your lessons into a unit once all of this has been done. If you have your unit plan, everything's planned out, and you have lessons that are going to hit all of the criteria in your single point rubric, then it makes it so much easier to put them in the models that we learned about in December.
It's easy to struggle with that because you put a lot of work into steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's almost like packing up to change rooms. There's a moment like right before you have to move where everything looks disastrous, but you've actually got it mostly organized. And that's kind of like what getting through steps 1 through 4 is. Don't give up hope, because once you've got 1 through 4 done, 5, because you're a teacher, falls into place a lot easier. And Frankie, can you take a moment just to briefly review, like, what exactly do we mean by phenomenon here?
Okay, for a phenomenon, we want to have, well, I can give you an example when we go down a little bit further. Thanks, Peggy.
Okay, and single
but
point rubric too.
one other thing there's an example of that as well. So one other thing is that when we get to, when I was doing this, I was creating my formatives and I was going back to my single point rubric and I realized, oh, I haven't touched on this. I don't have an assignment that touches on this at all yet. So I need to touch on this. And so I had to create an assignment then that would touch on that. And you want to limit it. You want to have assignments that hit your criteria. If it's not in the criteria, you've done it before, but it's really not in the criteria, then that's an assignment that you leave out. So that's how you limit the number of activities that you're going to use. Okay, we can go on to the next one, Peg. Okay, so here is an example of updating an existing unit. So this is actually a physics example. So this is a unit from 2019, 2020. And so this teacher pulled out a previous unit, the unit that they used last year, so that they're not starting from scratch and creating all units. You go and you start with what you have used in the past. So coming up, if you have a unit on photosynthesis that you have used in the past, you're going to pull that unit out and you're going to take a look at it. So this is a physics unit that was used in the past, and here is a single point rubric that goes with it. This one is a little bit different. This is a high school one, and oops. Oh, okay. Are you showing that, Peg?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you click on the single point rubric, it will blow it up for you.
Is it that side? Oh.
No, you got to click on the doc.
I don't have that up.
Okay, so you could see the little bit of it here. We'll pull up the example in a minute. So go ahead and pull up the example, actually. At the bottom of the page, it says example.
Oh, okay. Trying to figure out how to move this toolbar.
Here, I can pull.
Okay, this is not going to work.
I'll pull it up.
Hold on. Yes, because it's not, I have to exit. And I don't know if it'll, oh, yeah, there it goes. Okay.
Did you get it?
Yeah. The exit bar for the slide deck blocks it. There we go.
Okay, so there's a video also there of the explanation, and the rubric is at the top. This is for a physics one, so it's a little bit different. And the physics one, it does include more than one standards that are put together. This is for their common assessment. And it is okay to take a couple of different standards and put them together and bundle them. Somebody asked that in the chat, and that is fine. Can you go down a little bit, Peg? Scroll down. So here is the single point rubric. So you're going to take your lesson plan that you've already created and you're going to look at the single point planning tool, and you are going to say, okay, this lesson right here, coupled pendulum, and that goes with this part of the learning target. So I'm going to put that there. I need a lesson to teach, the part in the green. The student develops a model to illustrate the correct concepts, etc. I need a lesson to go with that. Look back at your lesson plan. What goes with that? Go to the orange section. What are the lessons in your plan that go with that section?
You mean out of the previous unit, like how you
Yes. So you're going back to your previous unit. Okay, let's go back to the presentation now. We have 5 minutes to go, and I want to make sure that I get to everything. I know this is fast, but here's the thing. After this is over at 10:15, you have a break, and then there's a planning time. So during that planning time, you have the opportunity to come back to us. Deb, Peggy, me, and 2 assistant principals will all be on to work with you and answer any questions that you may have. So you can start with a unit that you have already made, and you can use a single point rubric to help you plan for the upcoming lessons. Okay, go ahead to the next one. Here, you're going to take the second poll, and this time it's the same slide that you have seen before. So now that you've had a chance to think about where do you fit here? Are you in the green column? Do you fall in the blue column, the purple column, or none of the columns really? So Peggy, can you bring up the poll?
Mhm. Okay, we're at almost 50% voted. You're not going to be held to anything on here, just a ballpark, like what's your gut feeling, where are
Yeah,
you at?
we don't even see who has put.
What in, yeah. So we're at 80% voted. As long as you put some thought into this, that's good. In the essence, for time, looks like we've got a majority in blue and green. Blue a tiny bit more than green. So in the blue and in the green, and we're going to keep working to try to get over towards that purple end.
And we'll also talk about professional development that we're working on too when we get there. Okay, so now today you are going to have time to plan. You are allowed an asynchronous day the week of January 11th. Our team is available for you on the week of the 11th, and we would love to sit down and plan with you at that time. So if you're interested in having us meet with you to help with the planning process, we can join you at that time. Just email me, Frankie Valencia, Peggy, Deb. Now, the other thing that we want to mention is during that week of January 11th, you need to come up with an asynchronous activity to do with your students. One possibility is a reassessment. Other possibilities are to survey your students and see where they're at right now. See what they need going forward. The other thing I want to mention is that we have science virtual meetups for ongoing planning and instructional strategies support. So there is linked there is the schedule of those dates. And what we are currently working on is helping teachers go through the planning process. So you can take a look at that. Oh, can you close the poll, Peg? So going on to the next one. Next slide. Here are, I realize we only have 1 minute left, so this was very quick. But here are instructional models. This link right here, go ahead and click on that, the instructional model. It's going to take you to another presentation, and we thought that it would be best for you to go through this on your own, but you can see all the resources that are available to you. So jump down to the 5th slide, Peg.
Okay.
This is the process that I took to develop a unit for MSPS 1-4. Okay, and here is my planning process. So I started with a planning the unit document, and we're at 10:15. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. We started with a planning the unit document. Then we have, I also use the evidence statements to develop that. From there, I created my summative in my single point rubric tool. So that was my planning process. Then I went and I created assignments to go with that. So if you click on the single point rubric tool, Peg, real quick, and we are at the time. So, okay. So we won't worry about going to that right now. So
But
I will make
there.
sure that that's available for you to click on. So you're going to go to the single point rubric tool, and you'll see all of my assignments that I created in the right-hand side that I then could use to put into the models that you'll see later in this. So you just quickly go through the models.
Yeah, so
and then
there's the rubric, and then here is a concurrent model, and Frankie took all of those lessons and put it in this instructional model. And then
yes,
we went and did the repetition model, and she figured out how it would work in that instructional model. And then she took the same unit and figured out a way to make it work in the flipped classroom model. And they're all in there, like the
And it was-
lessons, the same lesson.
it was so much easier to put them in there once I had created all of my lessons. As I was doing this too, I realized that I have to make some changes. I need to break this assignment down, or I need to create a new assignment to put in here. This weekly station one was a struggle for me. It's hard for science because you have to you have to have units that don't, or you have to have assignments that don't matter the order. They can be in any order. So our focus today is to get you to plan. The planning is so important that you do that ahead of time so that you have a list of assignments that here's a part of the single point rule looks very similar to this. And it's so important that you have a list of assignments and that you're not going in there, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? I've done that before. We've all been there. We're like, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow with my kids? Let's just throw this assignment in here. You want to really focus the assignments. It helps you to focus and limit what you're teaching if it's all planned beforehand. Okay,
And
Peg,
watching Frankie go through this, I can tell you this slide deck is super useful if you want examples on how to do this. Frankie made her own unit and implemented the same unit in these instructional models as examples, totally relevant to how we should be teaching. So this is a really valuable, and it's in the slide deck. And I will put a link to this slide deck in the chat right now.
And also put the resources up there, Peg, from the other. Oh, it's in the main presentation.
Oh,
there's a link
okay.
to this. So if you go back to the page with all the resources,
Yep.
right here is your feedback form. So we would like you to fill out that feedback form, and we want to stop right now because it's past our time.
This
and
is the
some of the
exit
questions there's some great questions, and we'll respond to those via email.
And it's just a Google survey. So make sure you
Okay.
go in the slide deck and click on that. And the slide deck is available in the Canvas course.
So we'll end it now. And if you have questions for us, you're going to put them into the feedback form. You're going to, if you put them in the chat, I can get back and respond to the questions that you have in the chat as well. Thank you guys.
We'll be here for the whole
yes. If you
planning session, pop in if you have a question.
You can join us. Yes. Thank you very much.
So go take your break.
All right, thank you. Do we come back at 10:25 with you guys, or can we go?
So the 10:25 that's when you come back if you need assistance with planning. So we will all be here to help to answer any questions, to help you with planning. We're here.
Is it the same link?
Yeah.
Frankie?
Same link. We're leaving the same link open, right?
Yeah.
And then others are coming over to this link. Oh, can you put the slide deck in the chat? It's available. The slide deck's available on Canvas.
It's on,
but we will put it in chat as well.
Yep. Let me put it there right now. I'm also going to put the exit slip in there, and this is the exit slip, so you can ask if you have any specific questions, something that might be a little lengthier, or you just want a private answer to it. The exit slip would be useful for that. Comments, questions, whatever. So the first one is the link to this slide deck, and the second one is the link to the exit slip, which is also in the slide deck.
I'm going through the thing right now and making sure all links are working. So
yeah, and allow access to everything. So we have people coming in. I'm a little confused.
Maybe they're coming in because they have questions.
Yeah, that's I admitted. I know a couple of you just came in. Do you have questions? Just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. We've got a 10-minute break, and then at 10:25, well, we're down to 4 minutes of a break.
So you guys are free to leave
and do planning with your team, do planning with another teacher at your same grade level at any school that you want. That's one of the good parts of remote learning, hybrid learning. You can work with any teacher at your grade level, do some unit planning. We're going to be unit planning at the meetups every other week. You can actually get some unit planning done with other people if you go to those. All the office hours are open to every grade level which is the alternating week when we don't have a meetup. And we will be sitting in that Zoom, and anybody can come in and ask questions. Your whole little team can come in and ask unit planning questions if you want, or ask Frankie for a copy of her stuff, or ask her a specific question since she went through this entire process. And Deb will be looking over all the questions and being part of the answers as well. Hey, she's here. I see her.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here.
So you guys are free to go unless you would like to come back and work with us. If you're working with a team and you have questions, we're here to answer them.
Hey, Frankie and Peggy, will one of you make me a co-host just so I can watch for, I'm watching
Sure.
Diane and Melina. They should be coming in soon.
Melina's in, I think.
Oh, there she is. I see her.
Okay.
There she is.
Where are you? Participants.
It's a great question. Where am I?
More. Let's see. Where'd you go? Cannot find you. Did I kick you out, Deb?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I saw her too. Where's
Oh, that's so
yeah.
funny.
I saw your face. Oh, there you are. Okay. I'll do it. And then
There she is.
Yeah, let's change the chat to everyone too, just in case, because I'm assuming people who are staying either want to work in a team or
And let me save the chat. Mhm.
you are a co-host, Deb.
thank you. I'm gonna make Melina one too.
And yes, I'm gonna change the chat to everyone. In
Wait,
the meeting
okay,
so
yeah,
that
let me
if you
save
ask
it.
a question, everyone can see it. Yeah, save it as
Can we
is.
stop the recording now, Deb?
Yeah, you can stop it. Hey, Debbie.